Hi everyone, I know a lot of you guys are playing Monk and I want to show you how I'm doing my GR speedruns as an inner fire monk. I can do speedruns above GR120 in 2 minutes consistently and it's insane XP per hour. In fact, Inna has turned out to be the best solo XP farmer in the game now with all the tricks that we've discovered, and it's actually beating the gold DH. With my character here I was doing GR123s. And this was not even after like a long session of blasting and trying out things. I just went in there solo and I was doing 123s like 2 minutes basically every time. Of course I have very good gear, I have strong paragons, but in the end gearing is not really the difficult part about this build because you don't really need much. You just need your typical crit stats on everything and then some cooldown, and that's almost about it. So quite easy to gear, and I was even still missing I think 5 augments in these runs. Just to give you a quick idea of what is actually possible with this inner monk, I calculated this here in our paragon calculator. So for example, if you want to farm your way from 2000 paragon to 3000 paragon, you can do maybe something like GR120s plus minus a little bit, and average completion time I put it to 2 minutes 15 with 45 seconds downtime. So 20 runs an hour is quite achievable if you're quick and don't really slack in town. No pools in 5 hours a day. You can do this in around 2 weeks, and this is all solo. In 4-man this would be a bit faster because you have to strengthen numbers, so it would cut down like 2 days there. The interesting part is that these runs are actually very efficient in solo and not really much better in groups. So you have strength in numbers there and you get another 30% XP, but you don't really go much faster, you don't really go much higher. So Innas is actually an extremely good solo build. That being said, if you compare solo inner speeds versus group inner speeds, it is quite close, but it doesn't quite compare to like super optimized meta 4-man speedruns with the rat god speeds, where you have 3 demon hunters and a necro, because those are still a bit faster, a bit higher, and there can be like a lot of automation that reduces the downtime and all these things, and in that case you don't really have much of a chance. But you can get pretty close. You can get like up to half or so of the XP per hour that top groups get. So solo 3 trillion, 4 trillion per hour is not a big deal. With pools maybe later on you can get 5-6 trillion even in solo, and the groups will go somewhere from like 6 to 10 trillion or so most of the time, depending on their progression, their speed, and if they use pools. So it's definitely a great time to farm paragons in solo this season, and with the monk it is also super fun. Essentially you play the typical inner fire playstyle, so you have lots of cooldown reduction, you have Ingenium, you have Messerschmitt, and you try to use those procs to your advantage. You just keep exploding your fire allies all the time. Make sure that you cyclone strike enemies, and make sure that you keep your Squirt's necklace as much as possible, and also activate your focus and restraint regularly. And this is about it. Then it comes down to just being fast and learning a little bit about how much your allies can kill at once, what they will actually hit, and just not wasting your cooldowns. So the concept is quite simple, but it can happen that sometimes you press your mystic allies and you don't actually finish off the elite pack, or you just don't reset enough from just having not enough enemies around you for Messerschmitt procs. You gotta be a bit careful with this. You don't want to press the button every time you see an enemy. Just go into some decently sized pool of maybe 8 or more trash monsters and press the button. And sometimes you might even have leftover fire allies that you can use to just rush to the next pool or dash into the next pool and immediately cyclone strike, so that it will pop there. This is another of those little optimizations, but you can definitely use this usually multiple times per run to just get a bit more out of your initial fire ally cast. If you want to speed things up a tiny bit and do it like me, you can also drop the Epiphany in favor of Mantra of Conviction and Annihilation. Gives you a tiny bit more damage and also 30% movement speed. You don't really rely on movement speed that much because of Ingenium and Dash, but it does help to squeeze out a few more seconds each run or so. If you feel too squishy, you can just go with Epiphany again with Desert Shroud, or you can also use Mantra of Salvation Agility that gives you all res and dodge chance, because this one will also give you a lot of defense while not eating any of your Messerschmitt procs like Epiphany does. So this is very useful. Whenever you run this build in groups, you definitely want to keep the mantra because it also buffs your party members and usually have some other party buffs coming to you to give you more toughness, so you shouldn't really have much of an issue without Epiphany. And it also helps again with the cooldown procs. Aside from this, nothing really changes in parties, so you just do almost exactly the same thing. Usually you pull stuff yourself anyway with the Cyclone Strike. You don't really need supports doing that for you, you just need the buffs from the ZDH mostly, and you do almost exactly the same thing, almost exactly the same tier, and that's about it. So that's all I have to share here for now. So in case you haven't really been playing a lot of inner fire speeds yourself yet, maybe you're still, going with the water setup or something, you definitely want to stop using water at some point. I would say that after 110, 115 or so is definitely the point where water just falls off and you should be running fire, because you can just explode your way through the rift at a really fast pace, and it does deal a lot more damage. You can definitely go some tiers higher, and for pushing it's definitely fire all the way. Water excels at very easy low end content, T16, bounties, even like speedruns. I was doing GR100s with water in sub 1 minute on average, so you can do really crazy runs there, but it doesn't really compete against the fire on the higher tiers. So I hope you learned a little thing or two here. Hope you liked this video, and I'll see you guys next time.